I missed you, buddy. Feels like it's been way too long since we had a chance to hang out here on the Game Day Everyday Podcast, episode 6 coming at you. I'm Ryan Bass. I would list off my jobs. They've changed so much since the last time we've done this podcast, but I feel like it would take the whole show. So just grateful to be here as a national correspondent and new Tampa Bay Rays on-field reporter for Bally Sports. This joining me here is the executive director of the Tampa Bay Sports Commission, Mr. Rob Higgins. Sir Higgins, how are you, buddy?
Doing great. It's great to be back. I know we had a few weeks off in between episodes, but we have a phenomenal episode lined up today that I'm really excited about.
Yeah, we're going to give a lot of updates coming up here. We've got, some US Gymnastics updates as the tickets go on sale for that event coming here to the Tampa Bay area in August. We're going to meet our favorite married couple, the newlyweds of Tampa Bay, in Cam and Brooke Brate. So that's going to be awesome to chat with them. We'll give you some updates on things that are ongoing here and there. And we also have another special guest from USA Gymnastics as well.
Yeah, their president and CEO, who's a good friend of ours and a fantastic partner, Lili Leung. And we get a chance to learn a little bit more about her career path, why she's so excited about their championship coming in August to Amalie Arena, as well as a lot of other things related to the culture transformation that she has going on with the national governing body for gymnastics. So some exciting stuff for sure.
We also get to talk heat culture on this podcast briefly, but I do appreciate the fact that we get to talk Miami Heat.
Oh yeah, the fact that was somehow made its way into this podcast is really great, Ryan. And hopefully it's the last time that it happens. But there has been a couple of big stories related to media here in this last month. I mean, I think yesterday, the fact that Tom Brady was announced to become a Fox analyst, and once his career ends, I think that's the key to the entire announcement, was the fact that he said he's excited about that opportunity, but a huge but, he's got a lot of unfinished business with our Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What do you think of that, Ryan?
I thought, first of all, what a power move by Tom Brady to set up his post-career, making an average annual value of basically top 5 quarterback money in the NFL when his playing career isn't even done yet. He's still got unfinished business here with the Bucs, coming back, hoping to lead us to yet another Super Bowl here, 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. So what a power move by Tom Brady. Only the GOAT could pull something like this off. But Rob, I mean, I do feel like, we're starting to see the market get set here in these talent wars for these announcers. So I kind of feel like, in terms of you and I, our relationship, my agent might reach out here relatively soon, because I feel like the price tag for the work we're doing together, it just might be increasing, by the day here, given the fact that Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, now Tom Brady are cashing in. I feel like I need a piece of the pie here, Yeah,
I don't want to negotiate for the listeners, but I feel like we have a ton of different options that we could go to if this deal didn't make sense for both parties. So just know that it's a short-term deal for a reason, Ryan.
Got it.
That you are always, let's say, trying out or auditioning. So let's just make sure that you put your best foot forward as much as you possibly can. But I do want to congratulate you, because Brady wasn't the only major media announcement, the only major power move that has happened recently. Bally's locked up one heck of a talent in terms of getting you to do Rays games here on a pretty frequent basis. Why don't you tell us about what that role is, Ryan?
Yeah, Rob, I'm super excited about this, and you and I, and our friendship over the years, we've had conversations about just my desires to not only work with this franchise, but work with this network. I grew up watching what was Sunshine Network, turned into Fox Sports Sun and Fox Sports Florida, and now, Bally Sports here in Sun in Florida. And to watch Marlins games and Rays games and Heat games growing up, cheering on my favorite sports teams from my bedroom. And now to have the opportunity to actually be, on those broadcasts it's not just a dream come true. That isn't even doing it justice to say that. And so I'm grateful that, you reached out, obviously, right when I got the news, and getting the opportunity to fill in on 30 games this year for Trisha Whitaker, either when she's off or when she moves to the pre and post game desk. And so, I did my first series 2 weekends ago, which was just it was just incredible to really get that opportunity to join that broadcast, to be welcomed by Dwayne and BA, to share stories, and see the guys in the clubhouse again. KK and Brett Phillips, Ryan Thompson, some of the guys that just welcomed me with open arms, and super grateful. So got the next series coming up this weekend against the Blue Jays at the Trop. This is a busy month of plane flights here for me, coming back and forth to the Tampa Bay area. Plus, I get to go to Baltimore in 2 weeks, buddy, to cover the Rays and Orioles series. So it really is a dream come true. Grateful to Brett Updike, Vanessa Lambert, and everyone, Steve Tello over there at Valley Sports, and just giving me the opportunity. So, buddy, you get to see more of me, and the listeners get to see more of me. And who doesn't want more of me? I mean, come on.
Well, you have, in all seriousness, you have earned it. And I could just sense when you made your debut how much it meant to you. You did a great job, and I look forward to cheering you on for each of these 30 games throughout the season. I know that the future could not be more bright for you. So it's a pretty cool deal when you see somebody put in the time, the energy, and the effort, and have a goal in mind for as long as you did to see it happen. We all feel great for you.
Well, you are, not only one of my greatest friends, but one of my greatest mentors. And so to hear you say that means the world to me. And, I'm finally getting a taste of what life is like in the world of Rob Higgins. I feel like I'm living a microcosm of the Higgins just day in the life of, because you, my friend, are busy all the time. You are working on multiple things at once, and you always kind of have your fingertips on the pulse of what's going on in terms of events coming to the Tampa Bay area. And we've got a big one coming up here in August with the US Gymnastics Championships. You and I have been talking about this for a while, and it was really cool to kind of get the announcement in January that this event was coming here. I've had a lot of friends, a lot of coworkers that I've worked with that are really excited to see some of the world's best and brightest, even some Olympians competing, in August, the 18th through the 21st at Amalie Arena. That just take me through the process of not only landing that event, but what it's been like for you and your team working through that, because I know you're pumped and excited to have this in our hometown.
Yeah, it's an event that hasn't been to the southeastern part of the country since 2004. It's been on our radar for quite some time, and we've had great conversations over the years with USA Gymnastics, and the timing just really never worked out for both sides. And so finally to have it headed our way, I can tell you the energy and excitement around it is really palpable. There's a lot of pent up demand from everybody, from the local clubs and all the gymnasts that still participate, to the alumni that used to have gymnastics careers, to just the general sports fans. I mean, we talk about it on our podcast all the time, just how strong the sports community here is, and they love the opportunity to be a part of different events. And so the fact that we haven't had elite level gymnastics here in quite some time is fantastic, and we know they're in for a treat. And it really starts at the top. We want to partner with great events that have great leaders, and that's what we're doing here. And to join us on the show today is a good friend of ours and a great partner of ours, Lili Leung, the president and CEO of USA Gymnastics. Thanks so much for joining us, Lili.
Thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Well, you have such a fascinating career path. You started gymnastics at the age of 7 and competed collegiately at Michigan, and then went on and did a lot of great things. If you don't mind just sharing with our listeners a little bit what has led you to become really the top of the national governing body for USA Gymnastics.
So as you mentioned, I started in sport of gymnastics pretty young and competed and trained in gymnastics for 15 years. Did a couple of undergrad and graduate school stops. And then after that, I went off to China for a while. So I was overseas for over a decade, spent about 5.5, 6 years in China, first Shanghai and then Beijing, and actually worked on, consulted a bunch of the Olympic sponsors because Beijing hosted the Olympics in 2008, and also consulted a bunch of properties like NFL, MLB, NBA, and brought them into China as well. And after being in China for a while, my husband and I decided to move to London. London was hosting the next Olympic Games, and did similar work in Europe. And then after being overseas for so long, our families started asking us, are you guys ever going to come back to the States? Because when we originally moved, we had said anywhere from six months to 3 years. And then at 11 years, they said, maybe it's time for you guys to consider coming back. So went back to the States. That would have been in 2015. Worked at the NBA for several years, and in 2019 found myself at USA Gymnastics.
I love your background. Not only are you well-traveled, but the multitude of sports you've worked in has been really cool. Before I want to get into your tenure here with USA Gymnastics, but talk about the transition from the NBA and working in that world and going to USA Gymnastics. Like, what were the similarities? What were the differences? Obviously, your background is in gymnastics, and I thought it was fascinating, all the work you've done with the National Basketball Association. So what was that transition like?
It was, I wouldn't say a relatively easy transition, but working at the NBA actually helped set me up for this particular role. So there are a lot of things that I learned at the NBA, which I apply to my role here at USA Gymnastics. And NBA was a fantastic place to work and to learn from. I learned from some really smart, really outstanding people in the industry. And one of the major differences, I would say, is NBA is obviously a really big organization, professional sports league. They have a lot of resources. And so I went from that to an organization which is much smaller in scale, and a nonprofit as well. So you have to wear a lot more hats when you work in an organization like USA Gymnastics compared to the NBA.
And you clearly are very good at balancing and wearing all of those hats. And it's been really, really joyful to see kind of just how much stability has been infused into the organization ever since you've taken over. There had been a lot of turnover prior to your tenure. You've been here now, coming up on your 3-year anniversary. Just talk a little bit about your time with USA Gymnastics and just how much you wanted to kind of instill that stability when you did take over.
Yeah, it's been an incredible 3 years, and believe it or not, I've really enjoyed it. Obviously, there's been some challenges that have come with the role, but I consider myself extremely lucky. Obviously, I came into a situation which was a difficult situation, but I knew from day one that I could not be successful in this role without having a lot of really good, hardworking people to work along with me. And I've always said that it will take a village to make the changes that we needed to make here. And we've been lucky enough to retain really good talent as well as recruit really good talent. From all over the US, people moved to Indianapolis to work here at USA Gymnastics. And I'm so grateful for those people who have stuck around and who were willing to take a little bit of leap of faith and make the move to Indianapolis to join us. And so, I mean, a lot of credit is due to them as well for sticking by us.
I think, Lili, the term culture transformation is often associated with what you've been able to achieve. And I can tell you, you've already transformed the culture on this podcast, because the fact that Ryan could talk about the NBA without asking you questions about the Miami Heat is really a transformation of the culture here on the Gameday Everyday podcast. But
he knows me too well, Lili. He knows me too well.
How proud are you of that culture transformation and the results that you and your team have been able to achieve?
Yeah, well, we've been working hard from day one to identify new priorities, to implement new policies and new procedures that align with our new priorities. So we have established a new mission at USA Gymnastics, which is to build a community and culture of health, safety, and excellence where athletes can thrive in sport and in life. So we're really about developing the holistic athlete. It's not just about developing the athlete to perform well in the gym. It's about utilizing the sport and learning skills from the sport that will help set athletes up for success even beyond the gym and in life in general. And so that's our North Star when we come to the office every day. That's what we use as our guiding principle. And, we are proud of the work that we've done, but we know it doesn't end here. There's so much more work that can be done, and we are constantly challenging ourselves on a daily basis to see what else we can be doing to improve ourselves and the sport as well.
I like how you worked in culture, because heat culture is a big thing down in Miami. And now USAG culture, obviously, you've been infusing it, Lili, ever since you've taken over. I do want to ask you, because you came down to Tampa for the sneaker soiree in January, you got a chance to see our community and obviously announced that the US Gymnastics Championships are going to be coming this August to Tampa Bay. How impressed were you with our community? And overall, like how perfect of a fit do you feel this is? Because we are absolutely ecstatic to have this event coming to town.
Yeah, we're so excited as well. And well, one thing I will say is I really appreciated being able to dress up and not having my feet hurt the next day. So keep it going with the sneaker soiree. But I'm going to give you guys some props because, I mean, you guys get it. You know how to put on an event. You know how to create the right energy and the right environment. You know how to get people in the stands. And we can't be more excited to be working with you guys on bringing basically our crown jewel of the event to Tampa in a few months. And everyone that I met at the sneaker soiree, and also in terms of the feedback from my team, everyone has been just fantastic, has been so welcoming and really so willing to be collaborative as well.
What makes the US Gymnastics Championships so special in your opinion, and what can fans expect?
Well, you can expect some incredible high-flying gymnastics. It will be the nation's top gymnasts, both men and women. And you'll see Tokyo Olympians compete as well in Tampa. This will be the competition where national teams will be selected for both disciplines, the men and the women. And so it's going to be just an absolutely fantastic competition.
And we've been working really hard with your team in terms of creating awareness for the ticket on sale that's coming up on May 18th. So if you don't mind sharing with the listeners how they can make sure they're a part of all the action by getting their tickets.
Yeah, so they can go to usgymchampionships.com and all of the information will be there in terms of how to get your tickets and how to cheer on the nation's best gymnasts.
Now, despite what a lot of listeners may think, Ryan and I are not going to be competing that day in any of the days of the sessions. But if we were, Lili, who do you think would take, which apparatus? Like, how do you think he and I would do on the rings or the pommel horse or any of the others?
That's a great question. Pommel horse normally is deemed the most difficult of the events, so I'm not going to put you guys on that event.
I'll take that one. I'll take
You'll take that one.
I'm up for the challenge. I don't shy away from challenges like Mr. Rob Higgins here. I am up for whatever the most difficult event is. If I'm going to be ecstatic at it or I'm going to fail, I'm going to try my hardest. So I'm up.
I like that. Let's go. That's a great attitude. But for safety's sakes, I'd like to see you guys maybe on the floor exercise.
Okay.
Perfect. Because Lili, you don't know the backstory here. For Super Bowl, we competed against each other on the podcast in the 40-yard dash, and it was a very controversial finish. So the fact that we're going to go to the floor exercise, we know we got a trusted judge in you. You can go ahead and decide it versus bringing in any outsiders. We'll plan this maybe the day before the event. Could be some fun.
It could be the day of the event. That might be
we're 100 days out, so it gives Ryan plenty of time to get ready with his routine, and I'll be doing the same.
Yeah, I got to stretch a little bit, work on my balance on the balance beam. So Rob, you and I, let's say we meet up on Saturday morning by 6:30 a.m. and we start practicing, getting ready for August.
Perfect. Well, Lili, we really appreciate, in all seriousness, we really appreciate the partnership. You guys have been fantastic to work with. I can tell you the buzz in the community is electric. People cannot wait for you guys to get here, and look forward to the journey ahead and working with you and making sure that your athletes and fans have the absolute best experience possible come August 18th through the 21st.
Yeah, thanks so much. We can't wait as well. Really looking forward to it.
Lili, was incredible to just get an opportunity to chat with Rob and to learn more about her background, and so inspirational to see just kind of the work and the culture change she's done at USA Gymnastics since she's taken over. I love the parallels that we have on this show, because you mentioned 2004 being the last time that the US Gymnastics Championships was hosted in the Southeast. Do you know where that was in 2004? It was in Nashville, Tennessee, buddy, which, since there's some parallels with me being in Nashville and Tampa, I do love that it all just kind of comes together and ties in. But given that, Rob, this event, obviously, it's the crown jewel of US Gymnastics. So what are you guys working on now? Because August, it may seem like far away, but it's not that far away. We just surpassed the 100-day mark. We are less than 100 days to the US Gymnastics when they kick off on August 18th with the men's gymnastics, Thursday, August 18th. So what have you guys been working on, and what will the process be leading up to the kickoff of the event?
Well, congrats to you, since we're 6 episodes in. You now have gone 6 for 6 in terms of Nashville mentions on the Game Day Everyday podcast. So we'll see how this along the streak lasts. I feel like it'll end up turning into like a drinking game of sorts, where every time you mention Nashville, the listeners take a shot. So
yes, they could do it on Broadway if they'd like to, by the way. So
yeah, we appreciate that. A little less than 100 days out, as you referenced, a lot going on. I think our big focus in recent weeks has been really preparing for the on sale. We want to make sure people know here locally, regionally, throughout the entire state that the event is coming. So we do that a variety of different ways with our media plans, with grassroots efforts, with public relations efforts. And so that has been a big part of the recent focus. But then as we start to come out of the on sale, certainly the operations and logistics is also a real focus for us as well. So we started in on regular planning meetings with our good friends at USA Gymnastics, where not only the Sports Commission, but also their organization, as well as Amalie Arena and some of our other partners come together and make sure we're doing everything we can to have every detail covered for August. So it's been an awesome partnership, as I referenced. So far, I know a lot of the real work is still ahead of us over these next 99 days. But I think it all starts with, with that partnership between all of us and the excitement around it. So it's going to be really fantastic. And we could not be more thrilled that we're finally getting an opportunity to host the event.
And tickets will be open to the public again for those that are interested in purchasing them May 18th, correct? So coming up soon, if you want to get your tickets, that is the day where you can start getting them, correct?
Yes, May 18th. It's on Ticketmaster. Certainly, you can also go on the USA Gymnastics website to be able to click through there. But it's going to be fantastic. We're talking about some of the best gymnasts in the country are scheduled to be a part of it, and it's going to be something you don't want to miss.
This truly, Rob, seems like the perfect marriage for our community and obviously for US Gymnastics and USA Gymnastics and their championships. I can't think of a more perfect marriage. Can you?
Well, there is one, and I had the good fortune of attending the wedding recently. I'm sure, I didn't see you there. I'm sure your invitation probably just got lost in the mail because I'm sure you made the cut. But I went to the marriage and wedding of Brooke Skelly, who's our former director of marketing for the Super Bowl 55 host committee, as well as the Buccaneers tight end Cam Brate. And it was a fantastic wedding. And the Game Day Everyday podcast, you think that we're just sports, you think that we're just about local business, but we're going to take you behind the scenes of a pretty incredible wedding between two pretty incredible people, and that's Brooke Skelly and Cam Brate.
There's only one of us here that didn't get the opportunity to go to the beautiful Brate wedding, but I will say, not upset that my invitation got lost in the mail. It was a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful wedding from all accounts, and we so love you guys. So happy to welcome Brooke and Cam Brate here to the Game Day Everyday podcast. Welcome back to the family. I think I mentioned to Rob, you guys are the most consistent guests we've ever had on podcasts. So I appreciate the newlyweds now joining us again.
Do we get a t-shirt, recurring guest? Is that
we'll have to find a sponsor for that, Cam. So I don't want to promise it just yet, but it's definitely something we can work on.
In the works.
Yeah. We would like a new podcast mug.
Oh, I like that.
Do that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah,
I want a t-shirt.
I think we can get you. I think we have a few ambassador t-shirts left, the polos with ambassador on the back. I think we just changed the logo to the Game Day Everyday logo, and I think
there we
that'll
go.
work, Rob. So it is so good to see you guys. And obviously we love you so much. You are the favorite couple of Tampa Bay. And so I do have to ask, newlyweds now for what are we, a month and a half in, right? A month and a half in?
Yeah, I think almost 2 months.
Almost 2 months.
So, I mean,
Yeah.
what's the biggest fight we've gotten into a month and a half in? I'm coming right out of the gate hot.
Biggest fight.
Cam did. So I was getting ready to go teach cycle class the other morning, and I hear like a crash in the kitchen.
Oh yeah.
And I came in, and he was so pitiful in the pantry. He put his cast iron down at the bottom of the pantry, which is not smart because we realize it's scratching the entire shelf. But when he went to lean down, he put weight on the shelf, and the entire pantry came down. So I wouldn't say a fight, just a disappointment.
Yeah, it was inevitable. It was bound to happen. So I just knocked it out.
He
Hey.
looked at me and said, "Babe, I think this is a sign we should clean the pantry."
If that's the worst thing that's happened this far in, you guys are off to a tremendous start. I mean, that is really solid. Now you're taking us behind the scenes of the pantry in the house. Let's go behind the scenes of the wedding. I've told everybody I know that is the nicest wedding I've ever been to. I mean, it was phenomenal, which the event manager then in my mind starts to think there was a tremendous amount of planning that went into it. I mean, Brooke, Cam, like what was that like putting that type of spectacle together?
So yeah, it was all a surprise to me. I can actually take
The
zero
truth
credit
comes
for any
out.
of it. So yeah, I had nothing to do with any of it, which I made very clear at the beginning that was my plan. You know, I didn't want to like say something and have them be like, "Oh, Cam wants this thing," because I truly wanted to leave it up to Brooke because that is something she excels at and I do not. So yeah, Brooke.
I did help, but our event planner was amazing. Like I would rec her Rena Event Lab plug. But she was great. She did way more than we could have ever imagined. Yes, I'm definitely a planner, but I couldn't have done it without her. She made sure everything was in line. And I mean, I think the closer you get to the wedding, you have to do some hands-on stuff yourself, obviously. I mean, she can't come up with the guest list for you. Sorry, Ryan, I don't know what happened there. Maybe she did take your name off. I'm not really
It's
sure.
okay. It's okay. No, I'm not upset about it. I was
He wouldn't
upset
get the
for the
invite
first
to
like
mine
30
either,
days.
so it's fine. There's no way he would get invited.
Wow.
So
Wow. And
it's
you know
fine.
what? I thought about this today. I thought to myself, like, I think if I ever got married, I would invite Rob to my wedding and maybe Cam and Brooke. But now that's 3 extra seats I know how for my future wedding that probably will never happen. So
It adds up, Ryan. So those 3 extra seats, be happy about it.
touche. Cam, first of all, we buried the lead here. The mustache is excellent. It looks fantastic. I love it.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I think it's a look that you should carry that into the season because I think it's going to do you well during the 2022 season.
So yeah, I can't actually grow a full beard, and it's something I'm slightly ashamed of and embarrassed about, but I do grow a mean goatee. And so I was kind of experimenting with it and went with the mustache because I was in California a couple months ago for Ryan Griffin's wedding. I was trying to blend in with the California kids, and I got a lot of positive reviews. So I brought it back to Tampa, and I'm just seeing where it takes me.
Now,
I'm a fan. I kind of like it.
Speaking of Ryan Griffin, you had a lot of teammates at the wedding, which was really impressive. But you guys were definitely the stars of the show. But if there was a close second, Ryan Griffin, who was the officiant of the wedding, did an unbelievable job. I mean, did you guys know how good of a job he was going to do?
Yeah, we did. You know, Ryan is someone we're super close with, and he's kind of with us through every part of our relationship. And as he explained in his speech, you know, he was a great facilitator in the beginning as well of helping Brooke and I get to where we got. But, you know, I think Ryan actually probably was number 3 in my book. I can't believe you didn't give Archie a shout out. What a star walking down the aisle. Are you serious? Did you see his behavior at the altar?
I'll tell you, I will say, I'll give Archie credit, which I've never given Archie any credit. When the Bucks posted your guys' wedding photos and there was the picture of Archie in there, the comments that poured in, the amount of drip that Archie has was really funny.
He
Where
did have
is
a
Archie?
custom suit on.
Where is Archie? Because Bali,
He's sleeping on the couch.
I've got another. This is my roommate's dog, by the way. This is Bali. so we can show. This is Bali.
Oh,
Comes right over.
yeah. See,
So-
Archie, he looks at us and then he's like, "No, I'm going back to sleep."
Wow. So
Ryan,
we
Archie
know who.
won't walk over to be on the Zoom because they carry him everywhere.
I love that.
He
I love
walked
that.
at the
No,
wedding.
He did.
Art,
He did.
and which is impressive, seeing as Archie certainly runs the house, like Bali runs the house here. Cam, all right. So I got to ask, in terms of post-wedding, when did you find out the news that Tom was coming back? And was that a bigger celebration than the Brate wedding?
I wish I could say that, Tom texted me and was like, "Hey dude, come back." But unfortunately I wasn't on that exclusive list. I don't think he contacted too many people before. So yeah, it was just in the kitchen and my friend texted me. I had no idea. But yes, that was very, very exciting news. Not that I didn't think we'd be good without Tom, but yeah, bringing him back definitely kind of changes the outlook a little bit of the season, and we're super grateful and excited to have him back. But I think the Brate wedding will go down. It's one of the biggest events in Tampa history.
I mean,
totally
I
And the
agree.
put
boat
it up
parade.
there with all the boat parades. I put it up there for sure.
Speaking of big events, Brooke, you served as director of marketing for Super Bowl host committee, did a fantastic job. About a year ago, basically, we wrapped up shop there, and you have now been on to so many other different things. What have you, in addition to wedding planning and pulling off the nicest wedding I've ever seen, what else have you been up to?
Well, I started real estate like 5 or 6 years ago in the Carolinas before I moved here, and always kind of did it part-time. And after Super Bowl, I just decided that I was busy enough doing just real estate to continue on with that. And I've been very busy. So I'm super thankful for all the people that have trusted me and continue to trust me to help them find housing solutions here in Tampa, because it is crazy. And then I still teach cycle at Camp Tampa in South Tampa.
What's the real estate agency you work for? I want to get it out to the listeners.
Coastal Properties Group.
Okay, well, if Coastal Properties is interested in sponsoring podcast t-shirts, we'd love to.
I will say
Check it
this.
out.
Oh yeah.
I will say this, Rob, because I got a front row seat to see Brooke work tirelessly during the run up to Super Bowl 55, as 10 Tampa Bay was the official partner of the Tampa Bay host committee. And so I will tell you, she was a hidden gem in terms of a star of stepping up in that Super Bowl and the run up to it. So loved the work that she did, but I want some of her perspective on the work that Rob Higgins does, because I don't think the listeners get to hear enough about what Rob does. So Brooke, tell me a little bit what it was like working with Rob as the boss for a little bit.
Oh goodness. Rob was the best boss. I've had some great bosses during my time. Stephen Drummond with the Panthers, and then Nelson Luis with the Bucks, and they were both amazing. But kind of to see Rob, not just with a specific team, he kind of wheels and deals all around town. Like, he knows everyone. He's the connector. He knows when to be loud in a room, when to kind of sit back. I've just never seen someone kind of like steer the ship like he does. So it was amazing to sit underneath him and watch him. And he also pushes you into situations that you might not necessarily be comfortable with. I mean, he put me at the table with people that I really never thought I'd be at the table with. So I'll always be really thankful for that opportunity. It was an amazing 18 months I had with them at the Sports Commission. So lifelong friends for sure.
The Tom Brady of Tampa Bay really is Rob Higgins. I mean, the way you just described that's Tom Brady in a nutshell.
I mean, basically.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we both are thankful for that response. I'm very humbled by it. And then Ryan is thankful that he doesn't have to edit any of that, because it really was a nice response. So we appreciate it. Well, last question, certainly a exciting season coming back here, Cam. I know you've been putting in the work in the off season to get ready. How pumped are you to get underway? And I know the schedule comes out tomorrow. I know we know the games, but we don't know necessarily what's in store in terms of the order or whatnot. Just your thoughts on the campaign coming up here.
Yeah. Seems like last season just ended, but yeah, we're back in the swing of things a little bit now. We got OTA starting next week. Obviously, we have a good quarterback. So if you have a good quarterback, you have a good team in the NFL. So we're super excited to bring back so many players. Hoping to bring back one more tight end. We'll see. Yeah, last year it was a successful season in the sense that I think we improved in a lot of areas from the year before. But anytime you don't win the Super Bowl, especially after having won the year before, it can't be really looked at as a success. So kind of have a little bit of a chip on our shoulder, a little bitter taste in our mouth from how last year ended. Hopefully we stay healthy. I think that hurt us last year, and I think we'll have a good shot. And we're just excited to get going and hopefully bring the Super Bowl back to Tampa Bay.
True last question, and this is the hard-hitting journalism that I really aspire for on this podcast. Are there more pictures of Archie or you two inside your house in a relationship? Is Archie seems to dominate the wall.
I was looking yesterday, and the funny thing is, so Archie has his little wall back there, right?
He has one near the bathroom.
But the thing about all the pictures of Brooke and I is that Archie is in every picture of Brooke and I.
So the answer is Archie. The answer is Archie.
So technically, Archie is in a majority of the photos in the house compared to Brooke and I.
The sign back there says Archie's house, Archie's rules. That's true.
I know. I got not only come up with 2 shirts for you guys, but I come up with the little
That's
Archie shirt as well in order to get you guys back on sometime. Because we got to cut this as like a long-term deal. You guys could be like Aaron Rodgers with McAfee. It could be a once a weeker, you know?
I'm
Sounds
thinking.
good. We're always
thinking,
here to fill in when your others fall through.
Yeah.
See, I told you, he gets carried everywhere, Ryan. Archie making a guest appearance.
He's like Prince Ali.
I'm thinking 10 years, $375 for a deal with you guys. What do you say?
It's a lot of treats for Archie.
Yeah, that is a lot of treats for Archie. It'll be the Archie fund. We'll take that.
Yeah, we'll take
Okay,
it.
good. Negotiations solved. There you go, Rob. Good to go.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys. Really appreciate you taking the time to visit with us. Good luck with everything you guys got going on, including you, Archie. We appreciate the wave.
Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys.
Until next time.
Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys. Next to Rob Higgins and Casey Higgins, I've got to say my favorite couple in Tampa Bay might just be Cam and Brooke Brate, because they really are perfect. But it's neck and neck between you guys, you and Mrs. Higgins and Cam and Brooke. I just don't know who's number one yet. I haven't decided, Rob.
Yeah, and I haven't caught any crap yet from the lovely Casey Higgins yet on the fact that I keep saying that this is the best wedding I've ever attended. She has not said, like, what about ours? So it's actually played out much better than I would have expected. But
I figured you'd be in the doghouse for that,
That's right. Congrats again to Cam and Brooke on their marriage. Can't wait to see many years of successful marriage here to come.
I feel like, Rob, as I look back into the memory bank here of not just the Gameday Everyday podcast, but the Tampa Bay 55 podcast we've done, Cam and Brooke may be the biggest repeat guest that we've had on our podcast. So I just feel like at some point they should just have an open invitation to just pop into the Zoom anytime they want.
Yeah, I can send them the link every week. And if they ever want to just drop in on us, it can kind of be like the Aaron Rodgers, Pat McAfee. Like we could do that. It could make it a regular type of thing.
I like that.
I'm sure they would really love to have that type of obligation.
Yes. Oh yeah.
To drop in.
No, I definitely think Cam and Brooke should be the Gameday Everyday ambassadors, where we just have them pop in here and there on the podcast. And speaking of which, they could be ambassadors for all the amazing events that we've got coming up here soon and in the years to come, Rob. And I know there's a lot that we are working on, and we spend a lot of time on this podcast talking about events that are coming up here in recent months or that we're working on. But it truly is incredible to know that your team is so forward thinking, that even events that aren't necessarily here yet or are years away, you guys are bidding on that process. And I know the women's Final Four is coming here in 2025 to Tampa, but you're already thinking past that, right? In terms of bid process and trying to land that event again.
Yes, the NCAA just opened the bid process on 2027 through 2031 for the women's Final Four. As you referenced, we're already hosting in 2025. That's our fourth NCAA Women's Final Four. That's an event that we've absolutely loved. The impact that it's had each and every time that we've had the good fortune of hosting. The social impact that it's had on our community has been phenomenal. In addition to the economic impact, so it's an event that we want to have a long-term partnership with. We just started in on the bid process for 27 through 31, and hope to be able to position ourselves as best as possible to get our fifth. Naturally, a lot of our focus is right now still on our fourth. We want to make sure that goes off really well, but we got to make sure that we continue to fill the pipeline as much as we can with these events and get them coming back as often as we possibly can.
If 2019 was any indication, Rob, because I had an opportunity to cover that for 10 Tampa Bay, and that was the 38th annual edition of the tournament. And that was an exceptional tournament. And everybody from the fans that came in town to the teams that were participating were raving about it. Baylor obviously winning that 2019 championship here in Tampa, but Sabrina Ionescu, one of the biggest stars in the WNBA now, was there in that women's Final Four. So it's really cool to see the next generation of stars and truly the biggest names in women's college basketball just embarking on our city. So if 2019 is any indication, I'm sure 2025 and beyond is going to be an exceptional opportunity for fans here in town and out of town to see some incredible women's basketball.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you just look at the growth of the game on the women's side. It's been fantastic. As we talked about it in the last couple episodes, we had the good fortune of going to Minneapolis this past year, and I can just tell you the committee. We heard from Mina King in one of the previous episodes, the chair of the women's committee, to the staff. They all have had a focus on continuing to raise the bar with the event. So I can only imagine just how great of an event, what's already a great event, just how much more great it will be when you start to think about these future years that are 5 years and out and beyond.
And not just that, Rob, you're working on events that may not even be on the horizon yet. One of the trips you recently took was up to see our friends at the ACC League meetings. Take me through that. And what's the purpose behind those trips? I mean, the bid process hasn't really been there in terms of landing the championship game here in town just yet. But take me through that. What's the purpose of going up to those trips and seeing some of our friends up there?
Oh, we're fortunate to have some great friends across really the entire college athletics landscape. Guy that's chaired our board as well as been a big part of everything we do for quite some time. His name is Jeff Adams, and he's been going to the ACC League meetings for 30 years. And now the last few years, they've been virtual. This was the first year back in person, but he and I had an opportunity to go up, see a lot of our great friends. They obviously have a new commissioner, Jim Phillips, who's a phenomenal leader in all of college athletics. So it was great to see him and catch back up with him. We've had a good fortune of being friends with him for quite some time, and as well as all the other ADs throughout the league. So, we don't want to be a community that's only in front of people when bids are out in play. These are friends of ours, and these are great partners of ours, and we want to make sure that we are continuing to see them every chance that we get, and just make sure we're sharing all the great and positive things that are happening in our community.
Did you interrupt the meeting with a call from Rondé Barber this time, or did that not go on the agenda this time?
No, that was not this time, and that's still talked about enough where I probably won't go to the well on that one anytime again soon. But obviously it was a lot of fun seeing these folks, and so many people. I think too, you're just getting this great return in this sense, more heightened sense of normalcy after having seen people on Zoom. So to just get a chance to shake their hand and hug them and see them, it's been great.
It's exciting, and I always appreciate. I know our city appreciates you and the forward thinking of you and your staff of making sure that we're in the running for events, collegiately or anywhere really to bring to our amazing town here. NCAA Volleyball 2023 Frozen Four. I know the work is already underway on that too. Just give us some updates here as we kind of close out this edition of the Game Day Everyday podcast.
Yeah, I mean, 11 months out on Frozen Four. It continues to go well from a planning standpoint. We're working on that on a parallel path. In addition to the NCAA Volleyball Championship, I think a lot of what we're just starting to lay now is the groundwork when it comes to both the arena as well as the hotels, and then some of the other ancillary events that happen. So I think we're in a great spot with each of those events, as well as US Gymnastics, and we just continue to pledge forward in terms of everything going on and making sure these events go off really well.
Since you put us out there with Lili when we spoke to her earlier on the podcast in terms of coercing me when I didn't even want to into the events for USA Gymnastics when they come here in August. Now, buddy, you and I have to start working on our routines. I mean, now that you put the pressure on us, I've got to start working on my balance. I've got to work on the balance beam, the floor routines. So that got me thinking, right? When we do eventually participate in the event, when it comes here in August, what's going to be your song that's going to be playing during your routine, Rob? I'm curious to know what's got to be blasting to make sure that you nail it and get a 10 out of 10.
Well, I mean, this is all fresh, so I think I've got to narrow down some of the different options. But like, if you had to pin me down right now, you know, there's a song called "Put On for Your City" by Young Jeezy, which I think would really go well considering what our mission is with the Sports Commission, and there could be some high flying acrobatics by your boy right here, just with the beats and everything. I don't want to give away too much because this truly is a competition. How about you? What are you thinking in terms of your song?
You know, I truly didn't think you would go with a Young Jeezy song, nor do I think the listeners would assume that I would go with a Journey song as my song for a floor routine. But Don't Stop Believin' by Journey has to be my floor routine song, because while I'm going to be competing, I'm going to have to not stop believing that I'm going to actually be able to get through this without severely injuring myself. So Don't Stop Believing by Journey is definitely going to be blaring on the speakers for sure.
That's a good one. That's a good one. Yeah, I never really pictured you as like having pliability as your strong suit, but I cannot wait to see this. I think we're destined for a controversial finish, much like you and I did with the 40-yard dash, but it's going to be fun.
Let's start that stretching routine, buddy, to make sure that neither of us end up at Tampa General Hospital after this one.